This is my dad's cap. I'm always wearing with me, and I was continuously training with this cap over the last 4 or 5 years. And this is a superpower, the magic power to train with a smile and no injuries, physical or mental injuries. The first race was really tough because it was a heat wave, like 38 degrees in Thun, Switzerland. For that race, it was actually for the first Ironman, it was very complicated. So I just cool down, slow down. And always when I got a struggle, I just think about why. And when they get the why, racing, trying to race, trying to do something, trying to get the finish line. As we try, if we succeed, it's good. If we do not succeed, it's good. So we just intend to do something. And with this mindset, not looking at performance, not looking at the speed, not looking at the time, just following the pleasure, the smile, racing with a smile, running with a smile. This was basically the objective.
Hassan, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So we have a Patreon here, Hassan, where members of the village who are supporters of the show are able to ask the guests questions. I have a question for you from them. They want to know, in the documentary Five Ironmans Beat Alzheimer's, who was the most impactful person that you had as a guest?
That's a very good question. I have to say, wow, we have many, but I think the one who inspired us very much is Mrs. Birgitta Martensson, who used to be the president of Alzheimer Switzerland, and today she's retired and she's a person living with dementia. And we have met Birgitta, who knows very well dementia because she was basically leading Alzheimer Switzerland, but also she has sisters with dementia, and her mom was basically someone living with dementia. And that's the reason why Birgitta, she gets involved to support the cause of dementia, because basically a couple of family members were affected by dementia. And we have met Birgitta, and we have learned so much from her. The way that she was basically handling life with dementia, and she shared so many great stories and positive vibes, how to live with dementia. We can live as good as we can with dementia. So a lot of positive energy. And also she was basically handing over to us the possibility and the mission to raise prevention to the young team, meeting youth. And she mentioned a couple of times, if you want to raise prevention, you should meet people before basically dementia it's getting started, right? And she said, basically, if you want to meet the young team, like 20, 15, 25, whatever, then I'm willing to join you for the talk. And the very next month, I think we organized the first conference in Switzerland to meet some young across schools. And then we had a very open and funny and very comprehensive and instructive discussion with the young team. And from that day, we are meeting youth every month. We're doing a school. It's been now 3 years, and we are raising awareness and prevention, mostly to the young team. And this is a kind of paradox, right? From the beginning, we thought we're gonna raise awareness and prevention to the large public, meaning adults, and today half of them, they are mostly the young team, as we talk about brain health, dementia, and brain condition. And for that, I have to say it's a success, and I have to say thank you to Birgitta once again.
So what was the objective when you're meeting youth, to break down a stigma, or was it to educate them on signs and symptoms? Like, what were you trying to specifically address with them?
The goal of the initiative is to change the narrative across society, changing the mindset and the stigma. So it goes through education, awareness, clearly education is key, but also there's maybe an aspect about generation and talking to youth today, I think is also to educate, to spread and disseminate the right message about dementia and brain disease. And the goal of this discussion is also to share how a nonprofit little association receiving a mission from his dad can be basically a tool, a social tool to spread the message and to raise awareness across society. And sports, it's of course sports, and the Five Ironman it's basically exciting for them to understand how can you raise 5 Ironman in 1 year, but for them, what is key is they try to understand why he's doing so much, so big challenge. What's the aim behind? And right away, it's the first question they ask because they know that somebody from my family is affected. And then I try to change the narrative and change the perception from society about dementia. And in that perspective, I have to say we're very enthusiastic team around in schools and very always very good events, quality of questions. I mean, the young team, they are smart. They are very smart, and they are also affected because some of them they raise hand. Yes, I have a family member. I have a friend of my dad. I have people in my village affected by dementia. So they are aware about this disease, and the opportunity is to basically share what we are learning along the way, and also connect, getting the questions and having some interaction. And I think the discussion we had with youth, would be also part of the documentary, because the voice of the young team for us is key, as well as the large public. So for us, it was key to get this interaction and to better understand the vision, the perception, and how they see dementia from their side.
Well, Hassan, let me introduce you to the audience right now. So, Hassan Fadli studied materials engineering in Paris and spent over 15 years abroad developing semiconductor technologies in Europe, the US, and Asia. He returned to Switzerland in 2013 as director of R&D and rekindled his passion for triathlon. In 2021, after several years of battling Alzheimer's, Hassan's father urged him to take action for the cause and the community. Moved by his heartfelt request, Hassan launched the nonprofit initiative Five Ironmans Beat Alzheimer's the very next day. Today, Hassan uses sport and film as powerful tools for advocacy and change. Through triathlon, he demonstrates the link between endurance sports and brain health while reaching communities with prevention programs that engage youth in schools and inspire scientific studies on the benefits of physical activity for cognitive resilience. At the same time, he leads the creation of a documentary film that brings this movement to life. Featuring over 100 individuals, the film shares the stories of hope, determination, and innovation, raising awareness and mobilizing collective action to transform how society addresses Alzheimer's and promotes brain health. What's interesting, Hassan, is the viewers of the show will know that I really dwell in two different topics. I kind of see how we bridge them together. Firstly, triathlon and endurance sports, which you talk about, as well as Alzheimer's and dementia support. So it's interesting how this initiative and this nonprofit and documentary they're doing really hits all those boxes of interest for me and a lot of the audience. So can you talk about the journey of development, your father's diagnosis, and the initial creation of Five Ironmans Beat Alzheimer's?
It was about 12 years ago. Yeah, we had clear signals that my dad was facing something with a couple of symptoms, and we tried to bring my dad to see a doctor. And it was really tough to bring my dad because he knew that something was going on and he was in denial, like most of the people living with dementia, or a lot of them. And from that step, we understood the stigma in society, because my dad himself, who was very smart, very kind, and And then we realized even he was basically reflecting himself on the disease, and he was not willing to see a doctor. So this was a step one where we faced difficulties, the stigma reality in society about dementia, losing your cognitive ability, and that's something which brings fear, and the diagnosis was quite long, and then we got the diagnosis, and my dad was still in denial. It was some cognitive test, and the standard, let's say, old type of diagnosis was not biomarkers or brain scan or it was based on a cognitive test, and then the diagnosis was basically placed across the family and my dad, and he was in denial, not really understanding, or he was really agile to jump and to avoid this conversation. And us as family members, we have to respect his choice. And we took a distance as well, not talking about the disease, but try to organize ourselves about the disease and what will
So
come
Hassan, sorry,
next.
why was he wanting to, you said be agile. Why was he wanting to be agile and avoid talking about it?
Being agile, when I say being agile, is escaping the discussion.
So why was he wanting to avoid it?
Denial. It's a denial process when you're not feeling comfortable about a specific topic, and where the topic is affecting you and your ability, your cognitive capability, and when you are not comfortable at all about something which is going on that you do not want to name, then you have some techniques to avoid this conversation and to deny. There's a lot of different techniques that people, they are facing these difficulties, and it's key to talk, to open the conversation and to discuss, because this is the most important. But we need to balance the level of discussion, not to offend and not to stress someone who is facing changes, because he was facing changes. He realized he was facing changes, but he didn't want to accept these changes, I think.
So he recognized this. At what point did you said that he urged you to take action and, support the cause and community. So how did that come about to you actually creating this organization?
So it's a very good question. This was a starting point of this movement. I was taking care of my dad 1 week. I used to take care of my dad a week per month, so my mom can rest, because my mom was really, really kind of, she was tired. She was in burnout or kind of depression. She was really, really tired taking care of my dad, even though my dad was the very kind gentleman, and it was difficult for her. So I was taking care of my dad a week per month. And one day we were walking around here in Normandy in a small village, and some reaction from people he knew, been years, maybe 20, 30, 40 years in a small village, some reaction about his attitude. And he could feel some emotion and troubles, and he was not comfortable about some reaction. And then we took some time in the garden here, and we drink the tea. And then my dad was basically talking to me about this problem, the disease we cannot cure. There's something going on. So he was using some wording, accepting the disease. He was not in denial anymore, and he shared for the first time emotion and the struggle about the disease. That day was a special day, because it was for me a big surprise that he changed so much, his position about the disease. And then on top of that, then he asked me to do something, and he said we can all do something. He was not asking me to do something for him. He was asking me to do something for the community, for others. And this is basically where I try myself to think about how can I answer his question. And for me, a very unique and efficient way to to brainstorm, or let's say to navigate through possibilities, is to run. Running for me is always key, is always efficient. So I went for a long run, and I came back home with the plan to race 5 Ironman in 1 year, to connect with the public, to raise awareness, to bring prevention into the public space, and basically trying to answer the question and the mission that I received from my dad. So 5 Ironmans, I think, willing and hoping to race one in my life. And that day I've decided to race 5 in 1 year. I don't know. I thought it was a smashing and great plan to get connected with the public, and to talk about something difficult, which is dementia. um, Probably going through social, like cultural, art, or sports. It's an efficient way to open a discussion, to inform the public, to listen to questions, and to share stories. And this is a way to connect, to communicate, to understand through this race challenge. And after a few days, I met my brother-in-law, Adrien Rivolier, who is basically a movie director, a filmmaker, and he told me, "Well, you want to raise awareness. Good. Then you have a message through the race to talk to the people, to connect, and so on. Yes, but you need a bit more to basically spread the message that you want to spread." And then he told me that, how about we just get some images, because images are very powerful, and sometimes images, without too much talk, they spread a lot of messages to the public. And then this journey became that day, and that day we built up this association called Five Ironmans Beat Alzheimer. And one of the pillar of this association is to document and to film a comprehensive documentary about dementia, to understand where we stand today, what is all about dementia, solutions, the caregiver challenges, the societal issues, the barriers in society. Sorry, and along the race in 5 countries in Europe, we basically meet the local organizations, associations, neurologists, a policymaker, healthcare professional, to understand and to document, for us to learn and to share with the public through this documentary movie. And from that day, then we started basically to build the project. I mean, a documentary movie, it's a comprehensive thing to write and to film and to deliver and to build. So we took some time to organize everything, to better understand where we stand in dementia, and started to connect with experts and local association in Portugal, in Sweden, in France, in Switzerland and Spain, because these are the countries basically where, with my coach, we've decided to race in 1 year 5 Ironmans. And along the way, we met local experts and people who are supporting dementia.
So why 5? Why not? You mentioned earlier, like you want to do one in your life. So why 5? Why not 3? What made it 5? What was the significance of 5?
Yeah, I tried to answer this question today. I have few elements coming up in my mind. Like 5, it's easy, because 5, it's 5 fingers, one hand, one check, and 5, it's a nice number, and 5, it's also 5 countries where you can target North Europe, South Europe, and Central Europe. And I was not aware about finger from Professor Mia Kivipelto, the finger study, and because the finger study comes with a 5, and I think And I think if I look at the story, if I look back in 2022, yes, I was thinking the five is a nice number. It's a consistent number, and it's tough to raise five Ironman in 1 year. Why not four? Why not six? I think five. It's a nice figure, and um, and yeah, I don't have much possibilities to answer that five, but five came up like the very nice number. Also to push the limits, because I was not aware for normal people like you and I, not professional triathletes, but let's say normal individual. I didn't know in that time that 2, 3, it's maximum per year, or the doctors and the medical staff would not recommend to do 2 per year full Ironman. I mean, and five, I expected five to be a big number, much beyond the limit recommended by the medical staff. And that was the goal, trying to achieve something big, to tackle a big topic in society, because dementia and the barriers and the stigma in society I was facing for years with my dad and my family was a struggle every day. And for that struggle, I thought it was the aim of this challenge, getting the connection with the public to achieve and to raise something big to get the attention from the public.
And so, just to give the audience some context here, when we talked to Stephanie Fauquier last year, when she was talking about her triathlons, Stephanie was doing Olympic distance and what's called 70.3, which is a shorter distance. So Olympic distance is like 1,500 meter swim. It is a 40K bike and a 10K run. Stephanie was also talking about doing 70.3, which is half Ironman distance, which is 1.9 kilometer swim, 90K, 90-kilometer bike, and a half marathon. What Hassan here is really talking about his 5 Ironmans Beat Alzheimer's, and why it's not recommended to do 5 in a year, because it's frankly pretty crazy, is because it is a 3.8 kilometer swim followed by a 180 kilometer bike ride, followed by a marathon distance run, so 42.2 kilometers, all capped off within 17 hours max. So truly a impressive feat. So just wanted to give the audience clarity, because as we talk about Ironman and the distance and the physical toll, I think we need to give that clarity so that folks, really understand what you're going through. Because I mean, a marathon on its own it's a long ways to run. So let's add a bike and a swim onto that. Like, it's a long day. It's a long day. Did you do triathlon before you said you wanted to do this thing?
Yes, I did when I was 10, 15 years old. I was swimming in a club here in Normandy. I was a swimmer at the beginning. It doesn't look like I'm a swimmer, but I used to be a swimmer, and I was really much into running as well. So naturally, when I was 17, 18, I've decided to race short distances. Triathlon was the first one. Then I went through my studies. Then I quit a bit practicing triathlon. So I did very few triathlon when I was young. Then I resumed practicing triathlon after my long journey in Asia back to Europe, and I did few. And before taking this decision, I did maybe 3 or 4 Olympic distances, and I really love it. I love it very much. I mean, swimming in the lake, swimming in the sea, then biking and running. It was something I feel myself very, very comfortable and a lot of fun. Yeah, fun. It's very important fun, right? And but in that time, I was thinking, how about racing one Ironman to feel, I mean, the experience, right? And then my dad came with this question, and there you go. I've decided to race five.
How is the Ironman organization address this? Because they're very strict about how you talk about them. Have they come alongside and said, "We love what you're doing. We love the initiative. We see the value in this," or have they pushed back and and said, we don't want to be involved? What's that relationship been like?
They were very supportive. From day one, when I contacted the head race director of Switzerland, Kevin Orlena, I contacted him at 9 o'clock in the morning on Monday. I just sent few information about the initiative, the association, and the aim and the goal. And I think in the afternoon, like 3 p.m., he called me and he said, "Wow, that's stunning. That's a great initiative, and we like to support you, and we like to give you a BIP and to invite you, but also to grant access, media access to your movie director." So the first race in Switzerland, it was basically a very positive and supportive team. It was great. And then following after Switzerland, second race was in Portugal. Same again, the Portuguese team were welcoming us, and also the movie director to access as a media. And Sweden, same, France and Spain. So in general, we had a very good discussion and support from Ironman, specifically for this initiative. Yeah.
Has there been any thoughts about the future state? Or is there going to be a continuation of more Ironmans to do it? Maybe it's a different type of endurance thing to continue that advocacy on. Has there been any thoughts about that?
Yeah. We do have some plans or some ideas before plans. I should say, ideas before plans. We're very busy now with the editing of the 75-minute cut. And it's a big job, but we do have few ideas as we continue to organize sports activation, race activation. So, for example, in August, we're going to race the Lausanne Triathlon. Lausanne, it's an Olympic capital. Sports, it's very key. It's very spread it everywhere in Lausanne with a lot of initiative, association using sport to spread the message. And we're going to race as a team, and also um, we're going to screen new clips during the event. We're going to have some talks. We're going to have some games for kids about brain, about better understanding, also prevention, like a cognitive stimulation, social interaction. So we're going to bring a very comprehensive and instructive a booth during the triathlon. We're going to race, we're going to screen, and we're going to talk. So this is what we call activation, and we're using sports to spread the message, using basically our images, but using also our team. We have a team of sports experts, we have neuroscientists, we have associations, partner, and all of us together, doctors and neurologists, to bring one voice, one message to the public, young team or adults or anyone who is willing to better understand brain health and dementia. So probably once the movie will be released, hopefully soon, end of this year, we're going to organize again some race next year. It will be basically the opportunity to talk, to screen, and to engage and to promote physical activity. Because when we talk about prevention, the top one to reduce the risk of dementia, it's a physical activity. So we are basically using this physical activity also to spread the prevention, because dementia is accessible to prevention. We can reduce the risk. We can reduce the risk by 47%, according to the latest publication from Lancet. And that's a nice way, basically using a 5K race or a 20K race or a marathon or cycling or swimming. So we are spotting few events in small villages or big cities everywhere in Europe, and hopefully beyond Europe, also next year in 28, to use that opportunity to engage and open a dialogue with the public.
I know that there is a lot of conversation about, like you said, and getting your heart rate up, getting physical activity can decrease the prevalence of Alzheimer's. We had Dr. Tommy Wood on an earlier episode of the show And he was said that I think like 40% of Alzheimer's is entirely preventable. I think it was 47% was entirely
47, yeah.
preventable, based on some of these, things that we do that we can adjust and change and really decrease our prevalence of Alzheimer's specifically. But they also say, doing a marathon, they typically see increased rates of specific type of cancers for marathon runners because of the training and the impact that it has. What have you seen with long distance athletes and long distance charity athletes with respect to Alzheimer's and dementia? So have you seen any, or from your experts, heard any correlation between the impact of these long endurance races with Alzheimer's and dementia and how it impacts?
Today, we do not have evidences or paper about the long endurance impact on people at risk or living with dementia. I think it might be some studies. I have to double check, but according to my colleague, Tom Roos, who is in charge of the study, there's not much data available. That's the reason why we've decided also along the journey, along the training. So I was training myself from 22 till 25. So I was training myself 15, 20 hours per week to get fit and ready to race. And we've decided to collect biomarkers on ourselves because we are at risk of dementia, because I have few family members with the disease. So we are, in this perspective, at risk of dementia. And we thought about collecting as much biomarkers as possible to see, in my case, and my coach who was training with me, who is leading basically the study, Thomas Roos. And we thought about accelerating the physical activity, like 15, 20 hours per week. So this is a high speed or high intensity volume, and to see our physical health and brain health, the impact on the physical health and brain health, basically. And this is a study that we are doing today. And along the way, we also did a genetic test. So we know that we are at risk because we have the APOE4, myself and Thomas Roos. So in that perspective, we continue to collect biomarkers on biobank as well. So we have a lot of biomarkers ready to do a lot of analysis longitudinal study. And the question we're looking for is to investigate the benefits of physical activity in brain health for individual at risk of dementia. And this is a study that my colleague Thomas is coordinating, and we are working with few startups in Europe, some universities as well in Europe. We are lucky also to discuss with Karolinska a finger study, who is basically doing so much about physical activity, but also the other risk factor. So we plan to build and to basically team up on that study and to see what we can get from this specific design of a study.
Was your dad athletic? You mentioned that you kind of grew up in swimming and running, but did your dad, or I guess, was your dad athletic and did these sort of things with you?
My dad used to have a very good lifestyle. He was not athletic though, but he was a hard worker. He was working a lot. He was really dedicated to work, and not much of vacation, not much of sports, but he worked a lot. Every day he was doing the early morning walk, and not so much athletic, but good quality of life, even though he was working maybe too much. And for the sports, for him was very key that us, the kids, we are practicing a physical activity. For us, was two key messages: study and physical activity to have fun. So that's the reason why my brother, my sisters, we did sports when we were very young. And when I came to my dad with the plan to race five Ironmans in 1 year, then he said, yes, let's go for it. It sounds like a great plan. So he was following for 2.5 years. He was following me training. He saw me early morning going for a run. He was watching me changing my stuff, building my bike, going for training, coming back and resting and going back to train, because it was basically 15 to 20 hours per week. So he was very much aware about his dedication. And he was happy to see that we deploy basically his vision in this project. So my dad was the best supporter. My mom was a bit stressed because my mom was basically
That happens in these things, right?
I wonder why. And I have to tell you a story. That day when I came back from the forest, I came back from run, when I got the plan to raise 5 Ironman, my dad was already sleeping and my mom was just coming back from the supermarket. And I told my mom, I have now the answer for my dad. I will raise 5 Ironman in 1 year to beat Alzheimer. And my mom said, no, we've got already someone sick at home that we have to take care. We do not need a second person, basically, that we need to take care. So please find a plan B, because this plan seems to be a bit too much, because she understood that basically was a lot and tremendous dedication to race. And I told my mom, we're racing for the cause. We're racing with a superpower. The superpower is racing for you, for your family members, for your friends, for my family members, for the community. And when you race for the cause and when you race for others, which was the question of my dad, I think you have a superpower. And the superpower, I got the superpower every day to go training. It was -5 degrees, raining. I went for training with the smile continuously every day, because I had a purpose to train, and no performance, no data. I was not watching my zone 3, zone 5, or making sure that I bike 130K on Monday, or I was following basically my feeling, how I feel today. I feel good, I do a bit more. I feel not so good, or so I can reduce a bit and I adjust. And this is my coach, and I have to thank my team. I have of course, for this kind of challenge you need a team, and I had a couple of coaches who basically decided to mitigate the risk, to minimize the risk, not to train too much, like high intensity. So I was never in high intensity. I was always zone 2 endurance training. And basically, the superpower is the cap. This is the cap of my dad. This is my dad's cap. I'm always wearing with me, and I was continuously training with this cap over the last 4-5 years. And this is a superpower, the magic power to train with a smile, volume, and no injuries, physical or mental injuries. I went on a race. I mean, the first race was really tough because it was a heat wave, like the one we have today. Was 38 degrees in Thun in Switzerland. That day, it was basically a decision from the race director. Morning time, do we give a go or no go for the race, because it was basically roasting. It was a heat. It was an oven, I can tell you.
Similar
And
happened in France for the last couple Ironman
yeah,
races here this
yeah,
summer.
yeah, exactly. 2 weeks ago, it was 40 degrees here. And, in France, we do not have aircon and stuff. So basically for us, we're not prepared at all. And yeah, for that race, it was actually for the first Ironman, it was very complicated. So I just cooled down, slow down. I had some walk. We have some images online, basically the trailer of the movie on Five Ironmans Beat Alzheimer.com. We have this trailer where we see the struggle on the race. And always when I got a struggle, I just think about why. And when they get the why, racing, trying to race, trying to do something, trying to get the finish line, as we try. If we succeed, it's good. If we do not succeed, it's good. So we just intend to do something. And with this mindset, not looking at performance, not looking at the speed, not looking at the time, just following the pleasure, the smile, racing with a smile, running with a smile. This was basically the objective continuously. And what my team is saying is basically was a good strategy from day one to avoid injuries and any complication when it comes to high volume training.
What was your times? I guess what was your best time and what was your worst time?
Um, if I remember, the best time was in Kalmar, Sweden. It was 10 hours and something. I can't remember, maybe 30 minutes. Um, the 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 tough one was the first one, the roasting, the heat wave, the one in Thun, Interlaken in Switzerland. That one was the first one and very tough condition. And I think I did 13 hours or 12. I think it was 12 hours and 45 minutes, I think. Yeah. And a very complicated one, really tough race, I have to say, is Nice in France.
I've heard
Nice
the
was,
biking on that's
wow,
really hard.
it's super hilly. You go up in the altitude for the whole day, basically, when you're biking for 180 kilometers. And for me, biking is basically not I'm not a biker. Even though I did 5 Ironmans, I'm still not a guy made for biking. And basically biking in this, it was really tough. And I was so happy racing because my family was here, my team was here, and also all the people in Nice that we met, the association, the local association, everybody was here, university, doctors, the city, employees as well. They were all supporting us. And for the running, after biking, I told my brother-in-law, who is the movie maker, he was there with me, basically in a parking a place to change from biking to running. Then I told him I will not bike anymore in my life after this 180 kilometer up in the mountain here. And then I put my shoes on. Then I went for running. After 5K, I feel myself, oh, now it's back to a good feeling because I prefer running and swimming than biking. And I think that day I did 3 hours and 15 minutes for the marathon. After that, difficulties biking, when you see your team and your families and when you got a smile, then I was just running as I wanted and as I feel myself comfortable. And it was a funny marathon. Yeah, it was. And the images are part of the movie, and these are good images as well. So yeah, a chance, and so grateful to be healthy, to train and to race. I know that we are lucky to be healthy, and I think for being healthy, having the ability, trying to do something is always good to try. Not taking risk, minimizing the risk, and yeah, it was so much fun to train and to race during that years. And today I continue to race. I was swimming this morning. I will swim tomorrow again. Swimming and running for me, it's very good. I prefer motorbiking than biking, I can tell you.
I know that one thing that I've experienced this on is, so when I'm racing, I've got a custom tri suit that really has like almost call to action for folks to talk to me about dementia and let's have this conversation. So sometimes, it slows down the race, but I sometimes have these conversations mid race. Maybe it's a volunteer, maybe it's a person doing the race, whatever it is, where we kind of talk about what dementia is, why I'm doing this to, similar to you, to try and break a stigma about dementia and that we need to focus on person-centered care. What impact did you feel during the race? Did people talk to you about this? Did people know that this is what you were doing and want to talk to you about it? Like, what was happening in the moment?
um, yeah, it was a great platform to spread the message, to exchange, to talk, to share stories. And actually, I was surprised during the race in general, we had always big discussions. I mean, few days before, of course, we were filming the documentary. So we were already 2 weeks before the race with local organizations and medical staff and associations and people living with dementia and caregivers. So already we have some connection locally before the race. And during the race, I was also wearing basically my 5 IBA suit on, and people, they were basically, 180-kilometer biking. You have time to read and watch and talk, basically, right? And I had very good conversation on the bike, even though on the bike you have to be careful because of this drafting. But during the race, I had some good discussions, easy discussions. And after the race or before the race, we had the chance also to get the race organizer to give us the stage to share and to explain what we're doing here. And everyone basically watching us setting up the bike and setting up everything. Five Ironmans Beat Alzheimer. What's that? And it calls the attention, and we had always super strong and very nice discussion with the public. Yeah. And this is part also of the movie, because the goal of this documentary is to learn and to connect with the public and to share stories, and what we learn from the public is part of the documentary, because it's a documentary. Basically, we share reality of people living with dementia, caregivers, and then reality about the medical aspect, the early diagnosis, the difficulties of diagnosis, care, nursing homes, also the healthcare policy to support family members. So we cover all these aspects, but the main aspects still is basically people living with dementia and caregivers.
What I find especially interesting, Hassan, is that as the documentary went on and as you did these races, the people that said yes to coming on the documentary and talking about their experiences, and you started from, frankly, someone that wants to do something crazy to something that someone's actually doing it, that's making a difference, and, actually doing this and making a big change for dementia stigma, which is amazing. And people came alongside you, like Queen of Sweden. Was it because she witnessed what you were doing and that's how that would come about? Because that's a big deal, having someone like her offer her platform and really supporting what you're doing. So how did that come about?
This is a very interesting point. Ourselves, we try to figure out how we're going to engage neurologists, associations, policymakers, and people living with dementia, caregivers, young onset people living with dementia. So we thought ourselves, how are we going to get this community from Spain, Portugal, Sweden, Switzerland, France, talking to us, having a conversation, spending days. We spend days with people because it's a documentary. We try to basically engage the conversation and live and spend some time with them, and as well as nursing home, daycare center, and I think this tells a lot about communities and societies today. They are really willing to better understand dementia and to progress on dementia. And when we send a interview request, basically to these people, we got very good positive feedback. What we say, we are caregiver. We have a mission trying to do something using sports to raise awareness and prevention into action, and to document where we stand today, trying to learn and to share with the public. So we just come with a pitch, a 2-minute speech or 5-minute speech to all these medical staff and people and associations and the Minister of Health, as we met as well, and the Queen. And every time we had positive feedback and good connection. And the way we engage the community in each country is to connect with the national organization, let's say France Alzheimer or Spain Alzheimer, Swedish Alzheimer. So we connect with them. We just share what we aim to do, what we aim to achieve, what we're trying to do, and then we open a dialogue to see the possibilities. And we have, of course, we have few ideas because we want to spot and to film specific initiatives locally, because we did document for a year and a half what will be what will be what will be very key to share with the public. There are solutions ready to be deployed. That's the goal also of this documentary, to spot few local initiatives, to see the results, and to share. We do have solutions. So we need the public health to engage more money, basically, because these solutions are ready to be deployed and they are efficient and effective. Basically, that is also the goal of this documentary, is to open the debate to better support people living with dementia and caregivers. We do not have cure today, okay, but there are plenty of solutions. We have made plenty of solutions across Europe, and this was really for us so interesting to explore, to learn, and to share in this 75 minutes. So of course, we won't be able to share everything because we discover so much. And that's the very good and positive signal and hope. We do have a community, a strong and big community engaged to support the cause and to support people living with dementia, caregivers, also the doctors and also associations. When we met neurologists, the first neurologist I met in Lausanne, when I met him, he told me we do have difficulties to spread the message. I mean, doctors, neurologists, or associations, they have difficulties to access the public. However, if you have art, music, sports, or anything, let's say, not relevant directly to the disease, then you have better chance to engage the dialogue. And this is also why these people that we have met in these countries, they gave us the chance to talk and to see what we can do, what we can learn from the human center and the state dedication to support people living with dementia in Sweden, specific social system in Sweden. And in Sweden, basically, we had the chance to meet Queen Sylvia, Her Majesty Queen Sylvia, because Her Majesty Queen Sylvia has launched a lot of universities to train and to educate not only professional healthcare, but different type of communities. And Queen Sylvia, she has a story about dementia with her mom, and she engaged over the last 20 or 30 years, and we tried to understand how she deployed so many education center in Sweden, Germany, South America, Asia, South Europe. And for us, it was an opportunity to understand the why and the results. And then we were lucky to meet Wilhelmina Hoffman, the head of Swedish dementia. She connected us with Queen Sylvia about the education, how important is education to change the narrative and the stigma across society. And then we had the chance also to meet the Minister of Health, Madame Anna Tonche, who explained basically the system, the healthcare system in Sweden to support people living with dementia and caregivers. And also we had a chance to meet Professor Miyaki Pelto from Karolinska University, who is basically who basically deployed so much learning and progress and about prevention on dementia. And Sweden, but also France. We have met a caregiver training where we spent some days training caregivers. This is very unique. This is very efficient. How to take care of your loved one. And I think I didn't have a training caregiver. I didn't have any training from day one to day two. We had to take care of so many things without knowledge. And we have met with France Alzheimer. We have basically spent days on this education program to train specifically caregiver who basically got the diagnosis few days or weeks before and who basically receive guidance, best practices, what to do, what not to do. What do we want all when we take care about someone living with dementia, your loved one, is this person to be basically independent, to maintain the autonomy, to maintain the cognitive ability as much as possible. So there are practices to maintain as much as possible the autonomy and the independence. And this is Professor Merce Boada in Barcelona. We spent the day with her. She is an expert about how to basically maintain or set the conditions within the family, or set the conditions for someone living with dementia to maintain this autonomy and independence as much as possible, because this is what we hope as a main goal. Um, um, and um, and then we will and this guidance and the practices, the best practices from Merce Boada will be part of the documentary. And also, let's say, I looked also in Barcelona. Sorry, we have met a Dementia-Friendly city program. How the city engage solutions, basic solutions for people living with dementia. And this is very interesting. And these are part of the solutions that I
What
mentioned before.
solutions did they suggest from a
Our
city perspective?
specific signs, specific color, specific setup, the urban setup on the street, on the pavement, on the shop, on the park. For someone living with dementia, everyday walking is key. The routine is very key. So for someone who likes to go in the park every day, so the goal is to make sure that this person living with dementia maintain this ability to go to this park without and independent. And for that, they have a couple of signs, couple of specific colors, couple of specific letters to indicate and to facilitate life for people living with dementia. And this is something what we have seen also, the dementia-friendly home house, how to adjust house for someone living with dementia, because what we all aim as a caregiver is to make sure that your loved one living with dementia stays home. Everybody likes to stay at home, so you can adapt your home, your house. You can adjust some minor things that we discover as well as a solution to make sure that the person can maintain the routine, making a coffee, making a table, washing the dishes, cleaning. I mean, a couple of little things that this condition, this setup, and these solutions, tiny solutions, small solutions, can really help people living with dementia and maintain the autonomy and independence as long as possible.
When you were growing up, did you have any experience with Alzheimer's or dementia? Um, what was that like?
No, not at all. I discover, that's a very good question. I discover dementia, Alzheimer disease, the day we notice symptoms uh, with my dad. So before that, no information, no education, no was not basically in relation to any documentary or book or anything. So for me, it was new. For my sister as well, it was new for her. For my brother, it was also new. So basically, if we take our specific case, we had no information, no education, no awareness program about dementia. And this is this is a perfect example. Also, the people that we have met, unlikely they knew about the disease before the symptoms and the diagnosis. Yeah. So there is a lot needs to be done. Yeah.
So, Hassan, I've interviewed on this show 50-ish people, and what I've found interesting is a lot of the time the folks like yourself, myself, and many others that are entering the space to do things advocacy focused, large projects, wanting to shift the narrative, don't always have a childhood experience. Oftentimes it's later in life, they just have this crash course of my loved one now has this. Now I have to reconcile what it is. I didn't have any connection before. So I'm just entering into it now, having to figure out how am I navigating it now and what can I do about it going forward. And I find that interesting that is a common thread that I've seen across so many individuals that have come on this show that don't have they don't necessarily didn't have growing up. This person had Alzheimer's, but their loved one had it, and now they're like, what am I going to do with it? I'm going to do something crazy. And whether that is Five Ironmans Beat Alzheimer's, whether it's Spencer Klein, in his case, it was frontal temporal dementia, and for his dad, and he rode across the United States on a bicycle from Oregon, I believe, to South Carolina. Stephanie Fauquier did 13 triathlons in 10 weeks in every Canadian province, whether it's Jason Beauchamp, who did a marathon on every single continent. He's raised $20 million for Alzheimer's research. He's done some crazy things. He's done marathons on Antarctica, Great Wall of China, Mount Everest. And as I think about these individuals, it's more, how am I connecting to it now? What can I do about it to make a long-term impact?
Yeah, I think I think when you are supporting and when you're assisting someone, your loved one with dementia, you are learning every day. You learn every day, and you learn every day also about yourself. And sometimes it's a struggle. Sometimes it's a smile. Sometimes in the same day, it's very, very kind, very lovely, then very disaster. So it's basically a big challenge, because you're learning every day. And what we have seen in this, what we call Formation des Aidants, caregiver training program, 10 years later, I was sitting next to the psychologist and the caregivers who give basically a class to new caregivers. And every single aspect she mentioned about what best to do and what not to do, it was 99% what we have learned along the way. But at the end, if we knew specifically that content and practices at the beginning, then we would have support my dad, I think, in a better way. I think so. And what you said about the struggle and the difficulty we went through as a caregiver, yes, facing this difficulty, we want basically to make to build a movement, trying to do something for the community, trying to support the community based on what we went through and how we can support others, basically to face difficulties in a much better condition. And all these guys, I'm so excited and so happy to see all these guys doing very, very crazy and very impactful initiatives. And I think we are doing much better on dementia, not only because I'm focusing very much on dementia over the last years, but I see a movement. I see something moving from caregivers community, or not caregivers communities, but more initiatives to change the perception in society and to change the narrative and to better educate society about dementia. And that's positive. Yeah, it's a very, very positive. There's a lot of hope. We're doing a lot of progress from society. I think government, there's a lack of engagement. This is also reality. I mean, in Europe, when a caregiver is taking 1 week off paid to take care, 1 week full time of someone living with dementia, off paid, I think this is not fair, and nobody can believe this is fair. It's totally unfair, because you're 100% dedicated 1 week, 24/7, taking care of a person with dementia, and you took a week off paid from your job. So this is tough. This is a challenge, because basically you're doing what you're doing. You're working for the public health, taking care of someone living with dementia. So basically you are dedicated 1 week to do a job. And this basically should be a part of a new policy, not to give 5 or 10 days or 20 days per year as individual with a job to take care of your parents or relatives living with dementia, but much more, because when you are taking care of your loved one, it's, I mean, it's tough, and it's a big job. And these are the points these are the questions that we raised during the filming in different countries. Some of the countries, they have very interesting measures, I have to say, and some of the countries, they start to realize, as much we invest upstream, education, prevention, awareness, as much as we acknowledge the job done, the tremendous job done by caregivers, they realize also caregivers are taking care of dementia mostly, not public health. So if they realize this reality, then they need to take specific measures to better support caregivers, and then we can better support people living with dementia. So these are the questions. We do not provide any answers. We just ask questions. And the goal of this documentary also is to accelerate debate, to open the dialogue, and to see that some of the region or countries, they have put in place very interesting measures, that we need to learn from it. What are the results? What are the benefits? What was the cost? We know from the finance model, if you invest more upstream, then you save the tremendous cost downstream. And this has been proved so many times over the last years. And these are the message we will bring to open the debate and trying to change policies in different countries, but also in Europe, because we also engage ourselves at the European Parliament. We have met a member of European Parliament to see what we can do and how Europe should basically deploy solutions ready in across countries, because we do have today. It's not an excuse to say we don't know what to do. Today, we know what we need to do. We know it. So now it's time to press the button, to get people around the table, and to see how to deploy. And hopefully, and what we see here in Europe in different countries, there's some countries where debate is doing quite well. And I think this is a positive sign. Yeah.
What's interesting, Hassan, is you mentioned earlier on that you would spend a week traveling to support your mom and your dad for that 1 week time. We had the late Cindy Diogo, who was the CEO of Console, which is a AI tool that supports caregivers and kind of brings you the information, the connections, the supports that you need when you need it on the fly. So that's what Cindy did. And she was on the show, and she was talking about what she found interesting when they're looking at the data of use for dementia caregivers is that the large majority of the time when people were accessing the supports was during 8 to 5, during business hours. Outside isn't when they were using it. At evening, they were using it during their work time. So in your case, I mean, you were working and you take a week off to go care for your dad. But like many, you probably were having to try and deal with things during the day as well, like a lot of caregivers. I just think that that's such an underthought through thing, because even if you're at your job, you're still thinking through your dad. You're still thinking, what does he need? What do I need to get set up when I get there? And I think oftentimes our system is so focused on the immediate need, what happens immediately when you get there, but they miss the big picture of what do we need to get set up so that that isn't your focus during your job. And then on the flip side, what the employer doesn't consider, that you have this life outside, you have this thing that you need to deal with and consider, because it weighs so heavily on you and it impacts your overall productivity and the role. So I think about the support ecosystem there, because the organizations themselves and the entity needs to support the people, because the people oftentimes are the ones delivering that. The family's the one delivering that care.
Mm. Yeah, that's the reality. That's a reality today, and that makes the situation very complicated for caregivers. And it depends also, families, kids, adults taking care of your parents. It's every family has a specific situations, and this is also what makes this complicated to some extent, because there's not one solution. There's plenty of solutions because there's plenty of situation. And when we talk about taking care, I give you an example. I was taking a few days off myself because I could, off paid, and take care of my dad, so my mom could rest to my sister's place, for example, and not to worry that I'm working and taking care of my dad and working and taking care of my dad, which is obviously impossible, right? And what we realize late is that we had a daycare center. A daycare center is 9 to 5, people living with dementia. I don't know if you have this in US or Canada, in North America. It's a daycare.
Not very common.
It's not a nursing home. What they call it, daycare. It's basically during the day, 10, 20, or 10 to 20 people living with dementia. They're coming 9 to 5, basically 3 times per week, or maybe more, depend of the situation and family, kids and relatives, and so on. And this is a very, very good solution that we filmed in Sweden, in France, in Switzerland, in Spain. We have visited this daycare because the cost is not crazy as a nursing home, because it's day. I mean, it's not crazy. There's still a budget and the cost behind, but the benefit is to stimulate the person living with dementia 2, 3, or 4 times per week. So he's going outside from his place, and he's going to a specific center to cook, to meet people, to do music, to play cards, to do some physical activity. And the caregiver can rest during that period of time. Caregiver can rest during this period of time. So it's a very good balance, looking at all the benefits for the person living with dementia, having a smile, changing the environment, to observe, to be stimulated, to play ping pong box. We have seen so many dogs, border collie. We have seen border collie coming in the daycare center, playing with the host, and ping pong. We know that ping pong has a tremendous benefit for people living with dementia because of brain stimulation and the physical movement. And the boxing as well. This will be part of the documentary. We did film boxing for people living with dementia. What's the point? What's the relationship here? And basically, it's actually a study from Canada. It's actually a lot of study from Canada who basically analyze what type of physical activity or sports are the most bring the most benefit for people living with dementia, meaning brain stimulation and cognitive stimulation. And I think the top, I'm not mistaken, hopefully, but I put a reserve. So the top sports are sports with racket, like ping pong, tennis, everything with racket, because it stimulates positioning and the 3D stimulation, and the position of the ball and so on. And box is basically the same, because you have your 3D, your movement, so you stimulate where the position, and then you move accordingly. So I hope I'm not mistaken with this conclusion, the conclusion of the study, but I like to maybe send the link of this study. But box is one of the activity stimulating people, the brain of people living with dementia. And the daycare center, what we have seen smile, love, very good care. I can tell you, we've seen some really extraordinary places where people live with dementia. They are having a great day. They are having fun. I think there is some videos online we posted on our website. There's maybe short clips about some images in Switzerland, in France, and Spain, and Sweden. And this was for us very key, because basically it's a win-win situation, not tremendously expensive like a nursing home, where people in nursing home, it's one of the solution, but sorry, nursing home, you just decline because the conditions are very poor. The ones where I saw my dad and the other ones we have seen actually here, they were not efficient. They bring no benefits, and it's absolutely not a place you want to see your loved one for his last weeks and months. And this is basically a disaster in my own experience, at least, and my mom and my sisters and brother, and many other families that I have met along the way. So I think the daycare, it's a very good compromise. We still need nursing homes because some family and some situation you still need, because some situation where people, they do not have other possibilities, they will need a nursing home. However, it needs to be well managed by the public health, not by private companies. Private companies, it's a challenge when they're taking care of people who needs specific support. I think when it's well controlled, well organized, well managed, like we have seen 2 countries in Europe, and this will be part of the movie. One country without control, much of this nursing home, when we have seen a lot of disaster. I think everybody will recognize that we talk about France and other countries where nursing home is basically handled by public health, where they put in place specific rules, where basically people, they will receive a proper care, basically, and without specific rules and specific basically setup, then it might be very complicated for this person. Yeah.
Well, Hassan, ready for lightning round?
Yes.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Hassan, I thought you were going to be my tea person. I have not had one person that was tea yet. I am surprised. I thought you would be my guy, Hassan.
I will take a tea tomorrow for you.
One of these days, Hassan, I am going to have someone say they want tea, and then I'm going to ring that bell. I'm going to be excited. I thought it was going to be today. It's not today. All right.
Sorry. Sorry.
Decaf or caffeinated?
Caffeinated. Yeah.
Fair enough. Are you a morning bird or a night owl?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I used to be night, and because of the initiative, now I'm a very early bird today after launching this initiative.
What's one thing that still makes you smile?
The initiative, yeah, the association, the movement.
What's one word people use about dementia you would happily get rid of?
I was about to use a French word, fou. Fou means crazy. Yeah, crazy. Somebody crazy, like having a psychiatric disorder. A psychiatric disorder is something specific, but the people with dementia, they are not, let's say, crazy or fou, what we use in France. And this is a terrible word that so many people are using.
What's something people are surprised that you enjoy?
Endurance sports, biking 200K, running 40K, swimming 5K, planning to go for 10K running and doing 35K running, because that day was a specific day, was a special day. I don't know. So that's a bit crazy when it comes to endurance. Yes.
What does a good day feel like to you?
A good day when you are making progress in your values and the values that you want to spread, and that will make my day smiling, as long as I'm learning and basically learning also my values. Yeah.
What advice would you have for someone wanting to do an Ironman?
Be prepared. Take it easy. Take it easy, and do it with a smile. Only for
If they were to make a movie about your life story, who would play you?
You, Andy, there you go.
That would be the worst actor of all time, Hassan. Although I was the star of the grade 4 Christmas production, so it would definitely not win an Oscar. That's for sure if I'm involved. What food reminds you of your childhood?
I would say tagine, probably tagine. It's a Moroccan type of food that my mom used to cook that I like it very much. And yeah, I will say tagine. Yeah.
Hmm. What helps you reset on a hard day?
Physical activity.
What's something that still makes you laugh?
Life makes me laugh. Having my friends, my loved ones, my team, um, smiling about what we're doing. So I think being with your loved ones makes you, smiling and laughing. So that's very precious.
What's one thing you will never stop being curious about?
Science. Yeah, science.
What about science?
Science, and I think medical science, I'm getting very keen and interested. I used to be an engineer. I used to be research on tech for the last 20, 25 years. And I was doing a lot of R&D, but today I'm very much in love about human science and medical science. Yeah.
What's one thing you want people to remember about living with dementia?
Emotion and emotions stay with the person
What gives you hope right now, Hassan?
to drive change and make the change happen.
Hassan, I always give the guests the opportunity to have the last word to the audience. So what would you have to say to them now?
There are solutions. There are plenty of solutions when it comes to dementia and taking care of of your loved one living with dementia. And I will advise people to look for your local associations, because your local associations, they have plenty of solutions. And I was not aware about the solutions I could get here around in Normandy. It was too late because I was in a rush every day, too much busy, too busy every day. So I think it's good to step back and to look at possibilities. There are possibilities. There are plenty of options. There's plenty of solutions to better care about your loved ones, but also to better care about yourself. And there are solutions, always solutions, and that's the key message I would like to share. If I would have been in this talk 10 years later, I would say the opposite. No solutions, disaster, struggle, a lot of negative words. After documenting, learning, I changed totally my perception, and there are solutions, and to keep hope. And every day, science, research, social science, associations, organizations, every single day they are making progress. And this is what we call hope. And that's the key message I would like to share.
Well, Hassan, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for sharing your story, and thank you for all the work that you're doing. I know you're making a wonderful, wonderful impact. So thank you for everything.
Thank you, Andy, for having me and having us, the organization, sharing what we intend to do. And I look forward maybe to race together sometime in your hometown, or if you state in Canada. And that would be a good plan, actually, right?
Love
To
it.
race together.
Well, we'll have to do that, Hassan. We got races up this way, so we'll have to plan something, Hassan. I love it. But thank you, Hassan, and thank you to our listeners as well for being here. If today's conversation resonated with you, make sure to follow the Dementia Collective wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget the power of sharing this episode with someone who you think might benefit. And if you'd like to help us grow this movement, please consider becoming a member of the Village on Patreon. Among the benefits, like the ability to ask questions to our guests, you'll get early access to every episode. Plus, the satisfaction of helping powerful voices like Hassan's reach more caregivers around the world. And finally, if you're on your own caregiving journey, remember you are not alone. We're here at BlueBell to help connect you with the supports and resources that truly fit your family's unique needs. Until next time, remember you are strong, you are not alone, and you're doing something that matters more than you know. I'll see you next time.